Hey guys, it's Dawn coming at you again from my kitchen table back in Texas. Yes, I'm back in Texas, and it is wonderful to be home with my groom and my babies, my four-legged babies. Had a glorious time in Norman, Oklahoma, celebrating Feast of Shavuot. Met an incredible amount of like-minded believers who have faith in Yeshua and are following Torah. It was phenomenal. And so I just encourage everybody to partake of that at least one time just to see. It was wonderful. So I'm really grateful for all the incredible teamwork and effort of Lion and Lamb Ministries. They did a phenomenal job. The praise and worship was, you could just tell that the Ruach, that the Holy Spirit was there. And it was wonderful. And but I'm back home. I'm exhausted. And you know what? Between you, me, and the fence post, I'm still not unpacked. Is that bad? I'm still not unpacked. I'm using clothes as I'm getting them out of the suitcase because I'm just plumb exhausted. I came home and slept 16 hours straight. That's a lot of sleep. But we're also exhausted in this household because one of my four-legged babies had a really long surgery yesterday, and I spent most of the day on the floor with her while she was coming out of anesthesia. But she's better today. We've got 2 weeks of antibiotics and painkillers coming at her sweet little body. But just to note a little look into our personal lives here. My husband and I, throughout our 18 years of marriage, have adopted the unadoptable out of shelters that are about to be put down, whether mainly because of physical disabilities, because they didn't look right, or they needed medical help. So my husband and I would adopt the unadoptable, and we'd bring them into our little household of misfits here and make them our own. And my little baby girl, one of my baby girls yesterday, needed some surgery, and it was pretty. She was under for about 3 hours, and that is a lot of anesthesia for a 13-year-old baby girl. So anyway, we're doubly exhausted because of that, but we're grateful for the vets who've been calling and texting. Even this morning, they've been calling and texting. So I'm shout out to them and giving praises to the Father for them. But anyway, I ramble. I could talk to you guys forever. This is Forgiveness Friday. It's June 1st, and it's Forgiveness Friday. So regardless of how tired I am, you're still supposed to get a little nugget. Last week, we talked about Matthew 18, 21, 22, 23. This week, I'm just going to focus on Matthew 18:24. But what I wanted to share with you is Matthew 5:23. When I would do these forgiveness brunches around the state, I would have this target verse, and it was Matthew 5:23. So I'm going to read Matthew 5:23, and then we're going to go to Matthew 18:24. And this is going to be a really short clip if I can keep from blabbing, because I just love talking to you guys. Okay, Matthew 5:23, it says, therefore, this is Yeshua talking, therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. That kind of goes with 1 Corinthians 13. It kind of tells us that our offerings are worthless and we're clanging cymbals if we have sin, if we have unforgiveness, if something needs to be reconciled. Kind of goes along with that. Okay, so Matthew 18:24. Last week we talked about 23, and I left you with the wanted. Father is up there. He's chasing us by bringing to mind things that need to be settled. And we're running from him if we don't do it. We're going to continue to run from him. He wants to settle. And I remember I left you with, do you want the want? Pretty little chewy little nugget there. But verse 24 says, and when the king, this is Yeshua talking, when he had begun to settle accounts, and this is the king in the parable, and one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. So when the king, father, parallel here, begun to settle accounts, so father was chasing, the king was chasing people. I want to settle accounts with you. I want to be right with you. I want us to be right. I want our communication open, but this needs to be dealt with. One was brought to him. So one was brought to him. So this servant was reminded of the debt. This servant was reminded of the dead. It was brought to him. It was brought to his mind. Is Father bringing anything to your mind? Is there something that's playing over and over and over that you're running from, that you don't want to deal with, that you don't think you can deal with? It's just too horrific, or it's just been there so long you don't know how to deal with it, or you're just so uncomfortable with the lack of peace that you're addicted to the drama. You're addicted. You're more comfortable in the lack of peace, and you don't know what to do with peace. That's happened. One was brought to him. Is the Father bringing something to your mind that you need to settle with him, that you need to settle with your brother? Is there somebody that you need to go and say, you know what? I did this to you, and I am so sorry, and I need to ask for your forgiveness. Would you please forgive me? Or, and this is what's happened to me a lot in the past, especially early on, people would come up to me and say, you know what? You said this and you did this, and it hurt me this way. In my filth and self-righteous rags, in the beginning of my walk, I'd say, you know what? You're just too thin-skinned. How prideful and unloving is that? You know, you shouldn't let it affect you that way. You're just not strong in the Word. That is so unloving and prideful. But now when somebody loves me enough to come to me and say, you know what, Dawn? Because I love you, open rebuke better than silent love, blessed are the wounds of a friend. When somebody loves me enough and comes to me and says, Dawn, you said this, and you may not even realize it, but I want you to know it's prideful, or it was an arrow, it was damaging, or whatever. And sometimes my response will be, yeah, you know what? I really struggled with that. Thank you for confirming that wasn't of the Father. Or, you know what? I had no idea. Thank you for loving me enough to come to me and share that with me. They weren't condemning me. They weren't judging me. They were loving me enough to let me know, to shed light on it. So, when Father brings something to your mind, when you're brought to the Father to do this, what are you doing? Are you running? Are you kneeling before Him and sacrificing yourself, saying, Father, I am so sorry. So now with that, I'm going to go back and reread Matthew 5:23 to you. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift. So when we know that we've got these things with the Father and between each other, and we offer our praise and worship, we offer our tithe, we go help the orphan, the widow, we do these things that know that would please Him. He doesn't want it. Yeshua's words say it right here. I don't want it. Leave it at the altar. Leave your offer at the altar. Leave it there. And what He's saying here is He doesn't want you to use your offering to kind of glaze over. Well, maybe it won't be so bad if I do this. He doesn't want you to use your offering as a fleeing tool. If you remember this, that something needs to be taken care of, and you go to offer your tithe, your praise and worship, you go to serve your man, to love your neighbor as yourself, and you know that this needs to be taken care of, He says He doesn't want it. Go be reconciled, and then come back and make your offer. He wants it to be worth something, not worthless. And He wants it to be fruitful and not a clanging cymbal. Go, make things right, and then make your offer. But do not use your offer as a fleeing tool. Do not use your offer. When the Father spoke to me at the stove, give him the gift of forgiveness to my rapist, to the person who sexually assaulted me and left me, who ended up being a serial rapist and murderer. I ran for 2 years. I knew I needed to go reconcile with him. I knew I needed to let him know what he did by trying to rip out my soul with this sexual assault. That he didn't win. The demonic didn't win. And that fruit was going to come from this. But I ran for 2 years from this call. And I knew it in the back of my mind that I needed to do this. The praise and worship, the offers, I can't help but think from this. How did Father see those? Until I was blasted to the ground and broken and filleted before him. That I forgave him. That I forgave him. And to let him know how much the Father loves him. Then my praise and worship and my sacrifice at the altar was received. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But it was possible. It wasn't easy because of my flesh and my flesh response to pain. But it was possible because of the blood and the trust of him who shed the blood. So what I want you to remember, if he's bringing something to you, don't run from it. And don't let your sacrifice be made null and void because of that to him. And just to give you a little nugget here at the very end of this verse, it says, one who was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. That is an unheard of outlandish amount. And a talent is a weight of gold. And a very odd calculation here, it's a weight of gold that usually weighs between 58 and 80 pounds. So 10,000 of those. To us, it's like 60 million days of wages. Several $1 million, but 60 million days of wages for us, something we cannot pay. So we go to the throne offering a sacrifice, remembering something that somebody has, that we have with them or they have against us. What is your response? And I encourage you to remember the debt to sin that we had in remembering this. Don't forget our debt to sin. Because does that make us hypocrites? I don't know. Think about it. And I'm going to leave you with that. Go back and reread Matthew 5:23. Reread Matthew 18, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And I'll talk to you next week about another Forgiveness Friday nugget. One thing I want you to remember is that you are loved more than you will ever know while you walk the face of this earth. And just remember, it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, and it's the honor of kings to search it out. Ask him to reveal his true self to you. Ask him to show you the hidden things. Jeremiah 33:3. Read that to him. Ask him to show you things that you have never seen before. Be ready to receive what he has to show you. If you have anything you want me to pray for you about, leave a comment below. Send me a private message, or send me an email to bridesoftheharvest@yahoo.com. Y'all have a glorious weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon. Love y'all. Bye.